Hey, what is up guys, the Dragon Duelist here, and today I'm going to bring you some news of sorts. Devpro just had an update today, and with it came a new archetype. A new Pendulum archetype, of course. They're called DD, as I don't know what that stands for. Usually it would stand for something else, but I don't know. This seems like a pretty cool archetype from the cards that are actually important in the deck, and they revolve around having these spell cards called Covenant spells. They're continuous spells that I really don't like. I don't know. I'll explain later. So these are just some of the cards that you want to have if you're gonna make a deck out of these. So I'm just going over the important cards, the cards that I see are necessary. So we'll start off with DDD Infernal Armageddon, the Great Death Lord. So he's a Pendulum monster, and his Pendulum skill is 4. And his Pendulum effect is once per turn you can target one DD monster you control against 800 attack until the end of this turn. So essentially that's like the Cliffo monsters effect, but this is only until the end of your turn. But at least it's once per turn. So the monster effect is really where it comes in handy. So once per turn, if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or a card effect, you can target that monster. This card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack until the end phase. This card cannot attack directly the turn you activate this effect. This card cannot be destroyed by spell or trap cards that do not target it. So if you are going against something like I don't know, just providing examples. If you're going against Boojins and somebody has Yamato out and they use Honest against one of your other monsters, they destroy it, and well, they have 2 Yamatos out and magically have 2 Honest in their hand. So they double his attack and destroy one of your DDs. So you can activate his effect so that he doesn't get popped. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like Honest for this archetype, but only this card can have it, so it's kind of weird. This is a very strange effect, actually. This card cannot be destroyed by spell or trap cards that do not target it. So Mirror Force and Dark Hole, it can't be destroyed by those. So anything that doesn't target it cannot destroy it. So you can essentially just target it with anything. So Dimensional Prison, all that good stuff. So yeah, there's a big hole in that one. So the next one we have is DDD Kaiser the Conqueror. His effect is when this card is Pendulum summoned, negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls until the end of the turn. That's pretty crazy. It reminds me of some of the galaxies. They pretty much negate all effects. The galaxy sees, they negate all effects pretty much. Once returned during the main phase 1, if this card was Pendulum summoned this turn, you can target 1 or 2 cards in your spell and trap card zone, destroy them, and if you do, this card gains 1 additional attack for each card destroyed by this effect during each battle phase this turn. So he's gonna get multiple attacks, especially if you have 1 or 2 of the Covenant cards out on the field, since they're continuous. So he's gonna get up to 2 attacks. Yeah, he's gonna get up to 2 attacks per turn if you want if you choose to destroy these. And he's basically a 28 beater, so you're gonna lose pretty quickly. So yeah. Next we have DDD Leonidas the Rebellious Lord, which is a prize in the World Championship, I believe. Yeah, I think that's the grand prize in the World Championship. His Pendulum effect is when you take damage from a card effect, you can destroy this card, and if you do, any effect that would inflict damage increases life points by the same amount instead for the rest of this turn. So essentially that's Rainbow Life in a Pendulum. So yeah, his monster effect is when you take damage from a card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, gain life points equal to the damage you took. Any effect damage you take becomes 0. So that's actually a pretty good card. I like its monster effect better than its Pendulum effect, because its monster effect is kind of like a Gore's, but not really a Gore's. It's kind of, yeah, it's more like a Trage. So yeah, and you gain those life points too, but he doesn't gain as much attack as the cards that you have in your hand. So he's a 26 beater already off the bat as soon as you take damage. So yeah. Next we have DD Proud Ogre. His Pendulum effect is once per turn you can pay 500 life points and then target one DD monster you control. It gains 500 attack. If you do not control a DD card in your other Pendulum zone, this card's Pendulum scale becomes 5. And its Pendulum scale is 8 as the original Pendulum scale. So it's not bad. Monster effect is when this card is normal summon, you can special summon one face-up Dark Pendulum monster from your extra deck. Its effects are negated. If you activate this effect, you cannot special summon monsters from the rest of this turn, except DD monsters. So that's kind of identical to Cliffo monsters. When you use their effects, you can only special summon Cliffo monsters, but somebody already found a way around that. So I'm pretty sure this will work the same way. So yeah, I kind of like that effect because, as you know, Pendulum monsters don't get destroyed when they get removed from the Pendulum zone. They go straight to the extra deck, and these are all dark. So you're pretty much guaranteed one of the DDs, like Leonidas or Infernal Armageddon. So yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed one of those. Even though its effects are negated, you can just have a beater on the field and just poke at his life points. So yeah, I kind of like that effect. I like this one. So next we have DD Cerberus, one of the searchers for these Covenant spell cards. So its Pendulum effect is once per turn you can target one DD monster you control and make its level 4. And if you do, it gains 400 attack and defense. So that's pretty good for rank 4 plays if you want to do that. So yeah, monster effect is when this card is Pendulum summoned from your hand while you control a DD monster except DD Cerberus, you can target one contiguous spell card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. That's pretty much the searcher effect of him. So you're gonna get either Covenant with the Infernal Gate or Covenant with the Swap King out of your graveyard, and that's right back to your hand. So yeah. Another searcher we have DD Lilith, and this card's effect is if this card is normal or special summon, you can activate one of these effects. You can only use the effect of DD Lilith once per turn. Target one DD monster in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. Add one face-up DD Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. So if someone destroys one of your Pendulums, it goes to your extra deck, and you can use DD Lilith to add it back to your hand, or you can get a DD monster from your graveyard and put it right back to your hand. So that's a great reuse of resources. So you essentially don't run out that fast as much as certain decks tend to do. like light swords and such. So yeah, great reuse of resources. Next we have DD Night Howling. This is the tuner of the deck of the Archetype. So yes, there's a couple of different monsters that they'll be using, as you can see. So yeah, this is the tuner of it. When this card is normal summon, you can add 1 DD monster. You can target 1 DD monster in your graveyard, special summon that target, but its attack and defense becomes 0. If that monster is destroyed, you take 1000 damage. If you activated this effect, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except fiend monsters. So essentially this is for if you want to synchro summon into their synchro monster, which is level 7. So if you wanna get a level 4 out of the graveyard and special summon it, so you can automatically synchro summon into the synchro monster for this archetype. So yeah. Next we have another searcher, DD Magical Sage Kelper, I believe is how you say it. Its pendulum effect is you cannot pendulum summon any monsters except DD monsters. Its effect cannot be negated. During each of your standby phases, reduces card's pendulum scales by 2 as a minimum, and it has a minimum of 1. Then destroy all monsters you control whose levels are higher than this card's pendulum scales except DD monsters. Its monster effect is, if this card is normal special summon, you can activate one of these effects. You can only activate it once per turn. Target one other DD card you control and return to the hand. Add 1 Covenant card, one of these. Add 1 Covenant card. Here we go. Add 1 Covenant card from your deck to your hand. So this either you can return a DD on the field back to your hand, or you can search out for one of your Covenant spells. So yeah, I don't like this one in particular because you have to decrease the pendulum scales. It's already at 10, but if you want to play a different archetype with this deck, I suggest you don't use this card, because you'll probably most likely have to destroy it if it's higher than a scale of below 10. So yeah. Next we have the Covenant spells that are for this archetype. First we have Covenant with the Infernal Gate. This effect is, during your main phase, you can add 1 DD monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect of the Covenant with the Infernal Gate once per turn. During each of your standby phases, you take 1000 damage. Wow, that is a hefty price, but at least it searches out your DD monsters. That's a pretty hefty price, especially like every turn if you want to keep this out. So yeah, you can use it for a couple turns, and then what you want to do is you want to have Leonidas on the field if you can, if possible. You want to have Leonidas on the field so you can turn that effect damage into life point gain. So yeah, but it's a great searcher, I will admit. Next we have Covenant with the Swamp King. So during your main phase, you can fusion summon 1 fiend type fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials. If you would fusion summon a DD fusion monster, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as fusion materials. You can only use this effect once per turn. During each of your standby phases, you take 1000 damage. So basically this is a fusion card for DDs for this archetype. So it's like how the rest of the archetypes that deal with fusion monsters have a fusion card. This one has a continuous spell card that lets you fusion summon. I actually really like this card. because it's a polymerization and a super polymerization at once. It's all put into one. Super polymerization and polymerization. So what you want to do with this card, you pretty much want to have DDs. You want to have the DD fusion that you're gonna fusion summon, so you can use its super poly like effect, because that's what I would do, because you can use either one. So yeah. And for the trap of this archetype, we have DD Recruit. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, target any number of DD monsters and or Covenant cards in your graveyard, but no more than the difference in the number of monsters. Add those targets to your hand, and if you do, oh, never mind. You can only activate one DD Recruit per turn. So it's good for getting monsters off the field that you don't want on the field. If you have Covenant cards or DD monsters in your graveyard to waste away, you just banish those and get those pesky monsters off the field. Just if they have too many monsters that they special summon on a turn, you can just get those off the field. So yeah, it's kind of like Pineapple Blast, if you guys have ever heard of that trap card. It's essentially the same effect. So yeah, next we have the extra deck DD monsters. First, we're gonna start with the fusion DDD Temujin the Raging Inferno King. I like that name. It requires 2 DD monsters and it has 2,000 attack and 1,500 defense. That's all right for a fusion. It's a fusion monster. I'm sure it should have more attack, but if a DD monster is special summon except this card, you can target one DD monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target. You can only use the effect of DDD Temujin the Raging Inferno King once per turn. If this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can by battle or card effect, you can target one Covenant card in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. So if it's destroyed, it's basically a searcher. And it can, oh yeah, it searches through the graveyard, so you can get some DD monsters on the field. Just special summon those. So you can go for a rank 4 play. If you have a Cerberus or Lilith in your graveyard, or you special summon a Cerberus, or you special summon a Lilith, and there's a Cerberus in your graveyard, and you can use him to special summon it, and then go for a rank 4 play. So yeah. Next we have DDD Alexander the King of Gales. So it requires 1 DD tuner, as I told you about, Night Howling, and 1 or more non-tuners, of course. If a DD monster is normal special summon except this card, you can target 1 level 4 or lower DD monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target. You can only use this effect once per turn. So this is for rank 4 or lower plays. So you normal summon a Night Howling, you have a Night Howling in your graveyard, you want to special summon it, and then you can go for a rank 3 play, or you can do the rank 4 play or something like that, or you can do a rank 1 play actually with Sage Kelper, if that's all you want to have him in there for, because I don't like him. Next we have their rank 4 Xyz. Actually, I did not know that was rank 4. So yeah, requires 2 level 4 Fiend type monsters, of course. They kind of make it easy for you to summon. So yeah, you can only use this effect once per turn. During either player's turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card. At the end of this turn's battle phase, special summon as many monsters from your graveyard as possible that were destroyed during this turn. If you do, you take 1,000 damage for each monster special summon by this effect during the next standby phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Covenant card from your deck to your hand. So this kind of has a soul charge effect to it. So yeah. Say if somebody destroys 2 of the cards that you needed, like a Cerberus or a Lilith or something like that, or a Night Howling, you're gonna go ahead and special summon those from your graveyard. Yeah, you're gonna go ahead and special summon those from your graveyard. And then that'll give you a couple free monsters so you can do some attacks with. You can deal some damage. Or you can special summon one of the big ones if they were destroyed. And if it goes to the graveyard, it's basically searching for your Covenant cards. So yeah. And down in the side deck, we have 2 other new cards that aren't a part of an Archetype yet, I think. Or they're just an Archetype with 2 cards so far. But these are Denominators. And one is a tuner, so I'm guessing soon they'll have a Synchro monster. But these are machines, so I can see them being used in any machine deck, like Gear, which is popular now. So yeah, let's start with Denominator 001. This card gains 500 attack and defense for each machine type monster you control. If there are 2 or more machine type monsters are special summoned at the same time while this card is in the graveyard, special summon this card. So if you special summon a not a Gear, but Gear Accelerator, you have 2 in the graveyard. Special summon 2 Gear Accelerators, or you use Gear, special summon a Gear, and then you special summon the Gear. This automatically comes from your graveyard to the field, so you can go ahead and synchro up for a level. That would be a level 9 at that point. But you can do a level 8 if you special summon a 3 and a 4, or a level 7 if you do a 3 and a 3. So yeah, that can be pretty useful if you like to do synchro plays. Yeah, next one we have Denominator 002. If this card is special summon, you can add 1 Denominator card from your deck to your hand. I'm assuming they'll have more of these. They'll make more of these and put them in the Archetype, so it'll be more effective. So all other machine type monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. So these cards are relatively weak, but I'm pretty sure when they add more to the Archetype, they'll be pretty good. I can see, so far right now, I can see these being used in Gear, or somewhere, something like that, being used in Gear, or any kind of machine deck, like Cerberus or something. But other than that, I don't see it going anywhere until they release more cards for the Archetype. So yeah, that was my little recap of the new cards that were the new archetypes that were put in to Devpro today. So yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and a little bit of an update. I have started school again, so I'll try to keep my schedule of 1 video per week. I may do 2, I don't know, but yeah, just be on the lookout for that. Just letting you guys know what's up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later.